Hi, my name is Samson. I'm a watermelon farmer. The business I've been doing since 2012, and for me, money is on the ground, and this is my story. After completing school back in 2009, started venturing in agriculture. Well, I saw life was difficult for me, so I started agriculture because it was what I could afford in terms of capital. It has been a good journey so far. So I started with cabbages, and after growing the cabbages, from the little capital I got, is when now I started venturing in watermelons back in 2012. Up until now. Watermelon farming, I saw it was not so bad compared to maybe tomatoes and onions, because the expenses of watermelons was not so much high as compared to onions and tomatoes, because watermelon farming, first of all, the time taken for harvesting watermelons is 2.5 months. So I saw it as a good venture in agriculture, because there was a shortage of the time of planting to harvesting. Well, most of the farming I do in watermelon is land which I lease. So I don't own land myself specifically. I just lease land for watermelon farming. So the issue of leasing land again comes very difficult, because sometimes you find that the land you have leased is not the best for watermelons, and most of the cases you have to find land which is, I can say a virgin land. So most of the times we just look for land which has not been utilized. So again, that's a challenge for us as farming in watermelons. Currently I'm doing it on 1 acre piece of land. Now farming watermelon maybe in 1 acre piece of land, cost and expenses depends on the weather conditions. For example, the January, February, March season was very hot, so I had to do a lot of watering, pest control, fungicides, and fertilizer application. So basically expenses depend on the area you are in, for example, first of all, because different areas have different climatic conditions. So I cannot say that maybe, for example, we are using 100,000 Kenya shillings on a 1 acre piece of land in maybe Mwea. The same will be used in Kajiado, because it depends on the weather conditions, as I have said, different type of soils. So it varies depending on the place you are doing it. 1 acre piece of land here in Mwea, because the farming is, this area is called Mwea. For example, me, I've used up to now 90,000 Kenya shillings on starting from renting, plowing the farm, making the furrows, fertilizer, the seeds, and the labor which I've put here, fungicides. So it varies. I'm expecting about 12 tons for the first grade, the grade 1. And after harvesting the 12 tons, I'm expecting maybe like 4 or 5 tons for grade 2. A kilogram of watermelon now goes for 17 Kenya shillings. But I was expecting more, about 25, because it normally goes up to 25 Kenya shillings per kg. So relatively it's a bit low, but I can say it's not so bad. The duration from planting to harvesting, I say, is very short. So that's what I like about watermelon farming. The other beautiful thing about watermelon farming is that you can harvest it twice or even thrice, depending on the soil you are doing the farming, the weather conditions. And the first harvest is always the most. Yeah, maybe for 1 acre you get 12 tons or more, depending on the input, the weather conditions, and the climate conditions. And then the second harvest is normally a bit lower than the first, But again, it's not bad because it's also money which is coming into your pocket. So watermelon farming is good because you can harvest it twice and you take the shortest time from planting to harvesting. Since I started farming watermelon, one of the biggest challenges I've had in watermelon farming is climate changes. Due to the weather patterns which have changed, it has affected adversely in terms of watering. Insecticides have been so much. In fact, the prices have skyrocketed. Another challenge which has been here in watermelon farming is fertilizer prices have gone up, the fungicides have gone up. Basically, there's been inflation in all the inputs in watermelon farming. So I've tried to make sure that I reduce the expenses from watering to insecticide to fungicides. So for example, in my farm, I've tried making the furrows for the watermelons so that they hold the water, so that water don't run abundantly in my farm. So I reduce the expenses of pumping the water from the river up to the farm where I'm doing the farming. When I began farming in watermelon back in 2012, the weather was not so hot as today. So today we have to do a lot of watering. There have been a lot of pests and diseases which were not there back in 2012. So that again has been a challenge for us. We have to cope with. So I can say there's been a very great change in weather conditions, and which has again negatively affected our input in agriculture, specifically in watermelon farming. In trying to address the challenges I've had in watermelon farming, for example, I've been even trying to do some work myself so that I reduce the expenses of labor. When it comes to fertilizer, I've been using manure so that the use of fertilizer is reduced. So manure has been another thing I've been trying to put in my farm to reduce the expenses. For a young farmer who want to venture into watermelon farming, my advice to them will be first of all to maybe contact an agronomist, because there are very different challenges depending on weather patterns, the place you want to do the farming of the watermelons. So you need maybe to look at the type of soil, because soil again matters when it comes to watermelon farming. For example, watermelon farming cannot do better in black cotton soils. So you maybe have to consult an agronomist when trying to venture into watermelon farming. Secondly, you can visit farmers who have been doing farming of the watermelon, so that you can ask what they have been doing, the weather patterns, how they've been trying to control that, the marketing, how they have been doing that, so that you are good to go. For now, I'm doing 1 acre farm of watermelon. I'm looking forward to maybe doing 2 or 3 as I go on, because of I was doing a big farm, but again weather patterns have changed, so I've had to cut my cost in terms of input. So I'm looking for maybe in the near future doing a bigger farm than 1 acre. That was my agribusiness story. Sweet from the farm straight to my pocket. What is your story? Share it. So sweet, tamu sana.